Thank you for watching another live edition of the East West Football Podcast. I am Fidel Barraza, alongside with me, like always, Jerry Martinez. What's going on, Jerry? How you doing?
Oh, I mean, just getting everybody ready for their Thirsty Thursday, right? And I mean, it's gonna be a really thirsty Thursday for all football fans tomorrow, right? So let's get right into it.
Yeah, and we do have a double slate tomorrow night, and we'll get that here in a bit, Jerry. But let's start off by talking about Deshaun Watson. So the Browns announced that Deshaun Watson is expected to start at quarterback on Friday versus Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, we're still waiting for the final verdict as far as the suspension goes. Last week, he was only going to be suspended 6 games. That's what was recommended. The NFL kind of went in there and said, no, I don't think so. And we're now waiting for the final verdict to come in as far as how many games he's going to be suspended for the regular season. But at least now for the preseason, he is going to play.
You know, I think for Deshaun's camp, right, and for himself personally, I think this is like kind of like maybe like his safe haven, right? Like his ability to, do what he has done all his life, right, which is play football. And to be able to get to that gridiron, I'm pretty sure it's going to feel like a Super Bowl almost for him, even though it's a preseason. I don't know how much he's going to play. It's going to be an interesting storyline to see if they'll let him go, a full quarter, maybe the first half. That would be kind of interesting to see if he still has that Deshaun Watson that he had, that his playmaking ability, since he's been out of football for quite some time now. But I will say this: from what the articles I've been keeping up with, the NFL needs to move fast, because if not, that 6 week that 6 week suspension it's gonna stay as is, and he will not be suspended indefinitely. So the NFL has to move fast.
Yeah, they do, and I mean, if you're the Browns, what do you do? I mean, you don't know. You at least know he's going to be suspended 6 games. The league is going to try to suspend him for the whole season. Now, I know Deshaun hasn't played in a while now, right? But I think it's important if Jacoby Brissett is going to be your quarterback moving forward, and we don't know that if that's going to be the situation, right? I mean, we still have a situation in San Francisco with Jimmy Garoppolo perhaps being traded or cut, and I think the whole domino effect is going to be how long Deshaun Watson is going to be suspended for.
Yeah, I like you said. I mean, I've seen the reports earlier this week, Jimmy G, that they were talking with Jimmy G and his agent about, possible destinations that where he would feel comfortable, being traded to. And I'm like, they should have done this a long time ago. But it's still preseason. It's 3 games. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some quarterbacks that are available. Definitely they're going to need to take some flyers. I know that they have Jacoby Brissett. He's played. He's been a starter before. Um, it's kind of hard because that division, that AFC North, is starting to become a very strong division in the AFC. Uh, I don't. I mean, I'm excited for the Bengals to see them be able to see they can make that climb back to the Super Bowl, and of course, I would like to see um Lamar, right? I would like to see if Lamar could bring the Ravens back into their dominance. And of course, we know the Steelers are kind of going through a transitional piece, but man, the Browns have the supporting cast, the defense, the offense. They added Amari Cooper, which added more weapons. It's kind of weird though with Kareem Hunt, how now he not wanting to be there.
Yeah, that actually brings me to my next topic. But first, we got to give a shout out to Titan Upload. What's up, man? Thanks for
Time,
watching us. Hope you're doing well. So
yeah.
Kareem Hunt. So earlier this week, he has requested a trade from the Browns, but the Browns say, "Hey, you know what? We're not going to trade you." So I mean, now you got that to deal with, and then also on top of that, you have the injuries that just kind of keep on popping up, right? Wide receiver and return specialist Jakeem Grant had to be carted off, the other day with an apparent lower leg injury, and I believe it was on Achilles tear, correct?
Yeah, that's unfortunate because honestly, I mean, I hate to call him a gadget player, but wow, we saw him when he'd run loose with Dolphins. I mean, he was making plays and play. I mean, he can make some big time plays, and it's kind of like that spark or that juice that you need opposite of Amari Cooper, right?
Yeah.
Browns,
Yeah.
Browns are gonna have to find a way to stay creative, with their running game. See if they can keep Kareem Hunt happy, of sorts. Usually usually equates to a payday of some sorts, right?
Yeah.
But they got to get creative and just continue to rely on the run. and try to get Amari Cooper involved early and often, because we saw what he did with Dallas and with the Raiders, how he became kind of I don't know, not available, I guess, you know, cheering his team on when he doesn't get the ball early and often.
Yeah, I think with Kareem Hunt, right now he's on a very team friendly deal. Obviously,
Yes.
he had a whole situation that happened. He was suspended. Brown signed him, so he's kind of he's trying to make his way back to being a starting running back in the league. But obviously, it's not going to be with the Browns because that starting running back is Nick Chubb. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and they just paid Nick Chubb too.
They did.
They paid him a year ago. So Nick Chubb, like you said, I mean, he's been toting the rock for them. Kareem Hunt's more their third down specialist, but he's been able to fill in when Chubb goes down. So we'll see, man. I feel bad
Yeah.
for the Browns, man, because the Browns two seasons ago were right in it. Right, they're right there. I mean, right there. I think they're right there, even in the playoffs. A totally different Browns team than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and then the other name that that everybody has to remember is the Ernest Johnson. So whenever Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt went down, this running back went in. And he had some really good games. So I mean, the Ernest Johnson. I mean, if you're Kareem Hunt, he's like, hey, well, I mean, am I the second back, third down? Like, what's going on?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I mean, they paid him. They paid him this offseason too. They gave him a nice little payday.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't give him like big time money, but they gave him what better than what he had before. So the running game, we know that they are focusing on the running game, but how long can you stick to a running game before you need to start passing the ball to get anywhere in the NFL?
Well, I mean, that's the plan, Jerry. I mean, obviously, with the whole Deshaun Watson situation, I mean, are you going to rely on Jacoby Brissett to throw it 20, 25 times a game? I don't think so. I don't think that's a winning solution for the Browns.
Yeah, if I was them, I wouldn't just give up Baker. I would have tried to get Sam Darnold. I think
We talked about it.
we did talk about it. I was just about to give you credit. I mean, shoot, Sam Darnold, I think is just a little notch better than what you get with Jacoby Brissett. It's just a small notch, right? Because I think the only thing that Sam Darnold really needed was a strong running game, and that's what the Cleveland Browns can give him. And then, of course, now you got Amari Cooper, who is going to be where he's going to be when that route needs to be executed.
Yeah. Linebacker Roquan Smith posted a statement via Rap Sheet that requested a trade from Chicago. Obviously, he's looking for a new contract, and the Browns don't seem like they want to give him one. And he's just very frustrated with the situation. It looks like he wants out.
Yeah, the Bears they need him. I mean, he's been everything that his draft position was. I think he was a I want to say a top 10 pick if I'm not mistaken, or he was an early draft pick, but a little bit undersized, but he was a superstar linebacker for Georgia, for the Georgia Bulldogs, and then he's been able to translate his game here in the NFL. So yeah, I think that it's been a unique transition period for the Chicago Bears, bringing in a new head coach. And then, of course, now you're implementing a new defensive scheme. Now, I think that this defensive scheme will actually bring out the best in Roquan. And I believe that we're going to see a different kind of Roquan Smith. I think his game's only going to it's going to elevate. It's going to elevate pretty quickly, and we're going to see kind of like a modern day, uh, you know, Derek Brooks type of game
Mhm.
type. That's the type of style of defense that his head coach likes to bring, and that's exactly the type of game that he can translate to. So it's going to be an exciting if they can fix if they can fix mend that, make it right, fix it, allow him to go play some defense. Man, he's gonna make some big time plays. He's gonna look good for the Bears.
I mean, what do you think happens to the situation? You think he stays in Chicago or you think he gets traded?
I mean, he's still under contract. He's a first round pick, so I mean, it's gonna be kind of hard because you're losing money, you're losing time. I think that it's just who has a better poker face at this point. I think Roquan's kind of seeing that hey, you kind of got rid of some of the important pieces I needed for this defense to continue rolling. So I just think he needs to be patient and see exactly what was built around him, right? Because the what I think what was the emphasis in the draft for the Bears was they really picked up some key pieces on the back end of the defense. So I think it's something that Roquan doesn't want to miss out on.
If he were to get traded, what team do you feel like would make the move?
Oof, man.
I got a team in mind, but I'll let you go first.
I mean, it's hard, man. I mean, it's difficult because I mean, there's so many ties, right, with him and his former, head coach. I mean, I think now he's back with the Chiefs also too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Chiefs would probably be a team that he probably. I mean, the Chiefs also need a linebacker, but I would say your Raiders, man, they would need to make that move because you guys need a linebacker of that caliber.
I wanted them to draft him by the end of the draft. I really did, but
Yeah.
obviously they didn't. But the other team that I was thinking about, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I saw an article earlier where they said, "Hey, what if they just trade Roquan Smith for Devin Bush and a draft pick?" And I was like, you know what, that would make perfect sense, and that would even booster that Steelers defense to be even better than
Yeah.
what it is right now.
Well, I mean, they did get Miles Jack, and I think that
Yep.
from what we've been seeing is that there've been a very healthy competition. Devin Bush is a little bit more undersized, though. I think he's 5'10 ish. I mean, not that 5'10 is small, right? Because that's pretty. It's a nice, decent size, but the NFL nowadays, look at Michael Parsons, those type of linebackers that are just absolute animals at 6'2" and above and weighing 245 pounds and able to run as fast as these guys. So, I mean, I don't see the trade happening, but anything is possible. And we've seen Russell Wilson move, and we thought we'd never see him move,
Yeah.
right?
And speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, look, man, I know it's training camp and they haven't played a preseason game yet, but George Pickens, wide receiver out of Georgia, man, he's turning some heads and he's looking good out there, man.
Yeah, man, he's a bully. He was a bully in college too, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you just go back and just see some of his games. I mean, he be fighting. I mean, he's a real dog, man. That you're gonna see. Anybody that's interested in fantasy football, I think that this guy's gonna break the starting lineup because honestly, when you compare him to what they have, I mean, yeah, Deontay Johnson's good, but George Pickens is AJ Green type of player.
Yeah.
But when I say he has a dog in him, I'm saying like he has like kind of like that Michael Irvin type of dog in his game. You
He's
know
a
what I mean?
physical receiver.
Yeah, not Anthony Brown type of dog, right? Because Anthony Brown's kind of a little bit, Anthony Brown, Antonio Brown,
Yeah.
not Antonio Brown type of dog, but more like the playmaker Michael Irvin type of game where, you know what I mean. He uses his body, he uses his athletic ability. He goes up there and gets that ball. He comes down with it. Doesn't matter how many people are draped on him. He was doing that in Georgia. He got in trouble a couple times in Georgia because
Yeah.
of the antics. I think he even did a Randy Moss during a game against Tennessee. Then he got a water bottle and spray
Yeah.
hosed down the he hosed down a player from Tennessee, I believe.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's crazy what he was doing in college. He's doing in the pros, and it's gonna be exciting to see him. Think that the Steelers kind of knew what they're getting, and Steelers want to bring that dog, and they got one with George Pickens.
Man, look, Steelers do a great job drafting wide receivers in the
They
draft.
do. They do. And they drafted another wide receiver later on, but George Pickens is the one that's making the most noise aside from Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. All right. So tomorrow night, the week one of the preseason officially kicks off. I know last weekend we had a Hall of Fame game between the Raiders and Jacksonville Jaguars, but tomorrow's the official start of preseason week one. And the Giants play the Patriots tomorrow night, and also Tennessee plays Baltimore. Jerry, what storylines are you looking forward to the most tomorrow night?
Oof, man. I mean, it's hard, right? Because when you look at the NFL, you look at the players because they play, right? But then we look at the coaches because they coach. And I think there's two storylines on both sides. Well, there's multiple storylines on both sides of this. Tyquan Thornton has been making some noise in training camp for the Patriots, but what I'm looking forward is I want to see who's calling the offensive plays for the Patriots, and who's calling the offensive plays for the Giants. Because from the articles that I've seen and I've read is Matt Patricia may be named the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. And then, of course, we have Mike Kafka. I believe he was a former backup quarterback in the NFL.
He was.
And I think we were talking just right before, like, wow, this guy may be a head coach in the NFL. So I believe that, Brian DeBall, even though he's always been that play caller for, what he was for the Bills and the Patriots, I think that he's gonna give the play calling ability, the play calling job duties to Mike Kafka. And if that's the case, like that's gonna be a storyline not only to watch for this preseason game, but for the entire season itself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see, how much is Mac Jones going to play. I mean, we've been seeing the reports that they have been, struggling in training camp and whatnot. So, I mean, that and then Joe Judge, I mean, he's going to be back on the sidelines, right? But he's back with the New England Patriots. So, I mean, even early in the offseason, there was discussion that he was going to end up being the offensive coordinator. So, I'm interested to see when the Patriots offense goes out there on the field, when the camera shifts to the person calling the plays. I'm wondering who we're gonna have, behind the sheet, pretty much saying like, all right, we're gonna run this and that. So, and I think Belichick is gonna be a little bit sneaky. I think he might have multiple people calling the plays,
Yeah.
not just one person. So,
Yeah, we'll probably see two guys with two cards up calling the play, right? So, or just kind of like, I guess, lining up the offensive line and one calling the play, kind of, like you said, just being sneaky, kind of throwing off everybody, the entire league, because everybody wants to see what's going to happen. I mean, I'm interested to see Mike Gift. I was excited to see if how much hands-on Brian DeBall would have had, uh, running the actual plays and seeing if he could get Daniel Jones on the right track, right? Because Daniel Jones, this is a big year for him.
all right, then we got Kendall chiming in. Keep an eye on Fernie Jennings and LeBron Ray on defense.
He's Kendall has been nonstop, like mentioning these names. Anthony Jennings, he played for Alabama. I believe he was undrafted, if I'm not mistaken, and he's been making some impact plays during practice, and his name has been an actual reports and articles for the Patriots uh this entire training camp season.
I'm also interested to see if we're going to see Daniel Jones play, and then if we do, for how long?
Man, I don't know. I think that the first, I mean, because it's what this year. I mean, last year was the first time it was a 3-week
Mhm.
preseason.
Yeah.
So I doubt that would probably even see him first, maybe the second, and then take off the third. I think that's kind of like what traditionally it looks like every team's gonna move towards, because we're seeing these reports. I mean, luckily we're not seeing the names like last year. I mean, these names were being flooded with injuries last year, and luckily we've seen some. I mean, not luckily, right? And I don't mean it to be insensitive, but I mean, we've been fortunate to see that we haven't that list of names that have been lost for the season is not as big as what it was a year ago or a season ago.
Yeah, so I mean, if we don't see Daniel Jones play, we're going to see Tyrod Taylor play at quarterback. And hey, man, look, I think they're going to give Daniel Jones, all the opportunities that he's going to be able to get. But I mean, I'm just saying that if this guy has a good preseason, Daniel Jones struggles week 1, week 2, don't be surprised if they make the move. But I think, and I actually want to, I said this maybe a month ago that I think Daniel Jones is going to have a good year.
He should have a good year. I mean, he's gained Saquon back healthy. I think they've clearly added some offensive line help to go on to what they added previously on the offensive line. So if you got a healthy Saquon and an offensive line that's going to block, you'd expect that the pressure would be off of Daniel Jones to do everything. And Daniel Jones he has the moves, man. I mean, he needs to roll out and get the first down himself. He has the legs to do it, except when he breaks 70 yards open. The
Oh
turf
yeah,
the turf monster seems to want to
and
tackle him
trips.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, he tripped over himself. Yeah, that's pretty funny, man. I forget how many times they showed that replay during the game. It was just hilarious.
Yeah, it is funny.
Yeah, and then also, so how I mentioned, the second game tomorrow night is going to be the Tennessee Titans versus the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, with the Baltimore Ravens, a lot of players were injured last year, right? And they still almost made the playoffs. Obviously, with Tennessee, it ended in a very disappointing fashion with the loss at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. There's AJ Brown is no more there. He got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Man, it's gonna be exciting. I want to see Malik Willis because if he looks good, and I don't know, we'll see Traylon Burks, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna see some Malik Willis. I don't think we're gonna see Malik Willis for too long, but because like I said, we're probably gonna see a lot of the starters rested. Um, but I want to see Malik Willis. I want to see him fling the ball around. It's easy to get excited when you see, your team and the players that are a part of your team making some big splashy plays during preseason. And I get it. It's easy to get excited about it. But it's until game day when it actually counts. So, we've seen Malik Willis drop some dimes during his preseason thing. Shout out to Bleacher Report for keeping us, up to date with what's going around all training camp. So I would like to see Malik Willis. It'd be cool to see Traylon Burks, see if he can kind of fill that role that AJ Brown left behind. But and also some big shoes to fill, and I'll tell you they're gonna be hard too.
Yeah, so starting tomorrow, we're going to have football all weekend long. So enjoy it. Week one of the preseason. That's going to go and do it for us here on East West Football Podcast. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching and listening. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.